Hello, YouTube. So, Thanksgiving. Food based holidays can be a real challenge for people in recovery from eating disorders, especially if you're surrounded by family that knows. All eyes are on you and what you do or do not put on your plate. And even if they're not, you may feel like they are. Also, temptation, temptation, temptation. If you had a binge purge type disorder or an overeating type disorder, it's like an alcoholic being surrounded in a bar. If you had an undereating disorder, you are having people critically observe how much you're taking and maybe forcibly stacking onto your plate more and more things for you to eat. You'll have people whispering in your ear, or maybe not as tactfully, announcing it to anyone within earshot what is or is not on your plate, how many trips you do or do not make. Eating for people in recovery is a very difficult and personal thing. Each person's individual relationship with recovery, their level of recovery, and their relationship with food and eating is very, very personal. And so to be put on blast like that is highly anxiety provoking and uncomfortable. So if you have an eating disorder, having the holidays come about can be really uncomfortable because your family, sometimes, hopefully, with the best of intentions, wants to put in their 2 cents and is watching out of the corner of their eye what you're getting up to. One good thing about COVID this year, as far as those of us with eating disorders, is that you're not going to be dealing with so many family members, so much of a crowd, knowing you have a problem and seeing how you are going to deal with the food. Fortunately for me, I have a very supportive partner. He never comments on what I do or do not eat. And up until making the channel, I was not vocal about the fact that I had an eating disorder. So people didn't comment on what I ate, but I was very aware of what I did or did not eat. How much time I spent hovering around the food or not, what people might have been thinking about what I was or was not eating. It can be really challenging. So try to think of it as just another day. Despite all the food that surrounds you and all the focus on the food, try to think of it as just another day. Approach your Thanksgiving dinner the same way in which you would approach any other day of eating that you have been getting up to in your recovery. You have full authority and right to your own body, to what goes in your body, what does not go in your body, how many times you do or do not go up. If you are an undereater and you have a hard time filling your plate, and so you put 2 little things on your plate, but you go up 22 times in order to make a sufficient full meal, then that's just what you have to do. Pick. Don't wonder what people are thinking about how many times you've wandered into the kitchen to get food. It doesn't matter what people think. What matters is that you manage to eat a full, regular meal portion of food this Thanksgiving. Whatever your hurdles. If you are the binge type and there is everything to try to remember there will always be leftovers. Tomorrow's another day. What you don't get to today, you can get to tomorrow. You don't have to eat it all today just because it's available. It's like going to a full bar and being a drunk and trying to drink a shot of everything they have on the wall behind the bar. You don't have to have it all in one sitting. You don't have to overdo it, where you're going to feel guilt and you're going to feel compelled to compensate in some fashion or feel guilt or shame for what you have eaten. Again, aim to consider it like any other day and just have a reasonable amount of food to make one meal's portion of food, and steer clear of the things that are going to trigger you to feel guilt. Or if you are comfortable and far enough along in that recovery, have a small portion of dessert. Have a small portion of those trigger foods. But make sure you eat a reasonable quantity of food, a normal portion. Same with binge, BED, binge eating disorder without the purging. Have a reasonable portion of food. Realize that you can have what you missed tomorrow in the leftovers. It can be reheated. There is another day, and you can have it again tomorrow. Try to keep it within reason so you don't feel shame and guilt. Have a portion of food, the same as you would have on any other day. It's going to be hard. It's always hard on a holiday, especially a food-driven holiday, especially when people know and people are watching you. Even if they're not watching you, you feel like they're watching you. You don't have to prove anything to anyone but yourself. Don't do anything that's going to make you feel guilt, shame, like you have to live up to the expectations of other people, so you stack on more food or you stack on less food, and you end up feeling badly about yourself, badly about how you've eaten, badly about what you've done, in a way that you otherwise wouldn't have if you'd just been left to your own devices. Try not to make it so much about the food. Just walk in, get your plate, like you would approach your other recovery days, and call it good, and focus on the people that are in your household and activities to do, and you don't make a big deal about it. If you don't make a big deal about it, it'll be less likely that they will make a big deal about it. So don't put pressure on yourself. If others put pressure on you, blow them off. And approach Thanksgiving the way that you would approach Monday or Tuesday. And that's that. It is no different. And if you feel like you're getting left out, then there's tomorrow. You can have what you missed tomorrow. You can have if you are so inclined, you can even make the plate ahead of time so you make sure you don't miss out and overeat in the one sitting. Make the plate ahead of time for the next day so that you don't miss out, so that the leftovers that you want are going to be there the next day. And if you're an undereater and you're afraid of people thinking things because of how many times you're going back and forth to the kitchen, be brave and load up your plate more full, a full plate of food, so you just make one trip and eat what's on that plate. Commit to treating it like any other day in recovery. You'll feel pretty damn proud of yourself when the day is done. Good luck, everybody. It's easier than it seems. It's just dinner. It is just dinner. It doesn't have any power over you, and neither does anyone else. Food is just food. People's opinions are their opinions. They're like holes. Everybody's got one. You know what you're doing. You got this. Love you guys.